So a lot of times I'll have people walk up to me and ask me that, hey, Dr. Daniel, what kind of business should I start? I need a proper creative business idea. And I'll always tell them a variation of something like, there's so many business ideas outside there. Literally, you can start a business with anything outside there. And they'll tell me that, hey, so that means that, I can just go start anything outside there and I'll make money. Should I just go and start anything that comes across my mind? And I'll tell them that, hey, don't be stupid. Don't be foolish. Of course, you need to think about something and be particular on exactly what you want to start. And of course, it usually turns out to be confusing because I just told them that you can do anything and I'm telling them that of course you can't do anything. But well, it's because there are a few things you need to look out for, and despite the fact that there is so many business ideas, just look outside on the street. Literally everything is a business idea. Whether it's guys cleaning the streets, whether it's the drink that you're drinking, whether it's the cloth you're putting on, whether it's the, this board that you're seeing in front of me, whether it's me who is standing in front of you and teaching, all those are business ideas. So what are some of the characteristics or the things that we would consider important for you to actually consider while coming up with a great business idea? Well, in today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you 5 really important things to consider, or really important characteristics or information that you need to consider and gather before you actually come up with a business idea. And when it does come to making businesses, there are so many things to consider. But personally, I've started a few businesses, and I can honestly say that they're not doing terribly. They're actually doing quite well. And I do believe that these 5 things that we're going to be talking about are literally the core thing. They are the most important thing that you need to think about for you to actually come up with a great business idea that will work in your circumstances. So stick around right through to the very end. So the first one is skills and knowledge. So when it does come to starting a business, I'll tell you something. Suicide in business is starting a business that you completely know nothing about. Now, what's really interesting is that you see it very commonly, where you see someone, he's moving probably with a group of friends, or with colleagues, or just some random people, or watching YouTube videos, and then he'll be told about a particular business idea and they'll tell him, whoa, that business idea currently is making crazy amounts of money. They know completely nothing about the business idea, and they'll just step outside there and go and start the business. They'll invest their money, they'll invest their time, they'll invest their everything into the business when they completely don't know anything about it, and that usually most likely means that the business is going to fail. Think about people who are investing in things like crypto currently. Now that's not a business, but it's something that a lot of people are investing in without completely understanding or having an idea about how it works. And a lot of people actually end up losing money. Now, in the end, that's not the best example, because crypto is not, a business idea. It's an investment, and it's just like stocks. You can invest money into something and just give it time and it could grow. Sometimes it could be dependent on luck. But when it does come to businesses, there is a very, very small factor of luck in the success of businesses. So imagine someone invests in something like, let's say, a cleaning business, a home cleaning business. Now, this is an interesting business because someone could come up and tell you that, hey, do you know that with a home cleaning business, you could be making maybe $40 for cleaning homes? And then you move around and ask people that, hey, would you allow me to clean your home for $40? Everyone will be like, yeah, well, cool. Then you go outside there and decide to start a home cleaning business. Now, you go buy your equipment. You're like, well, I'll hire a few guys, charge them maybe $10, $15 to clean every home, and then get them to go and clean their homes. Everything makes perfect sense. You completely have no idea about the business, but it all makes perfect sense. And then you go and start your home cleaning business, and immediately you start noticing that, hey, it's actually quite difficult to get people you can pay $10 to clean a home. Maybe the first 2 or 3 people you asked were okay with it, but after cleaning 2-3 homes, they'll be like, no, I can't keep cleaning homes for $10. And so every 2 or 3 homes that someone cleans, they start leaving. Then you start noticing that, actually hiring cheap labor is really difficult. And then before you know it, you're paying the guys $10 to clean a home, and they're stealing stuff from your client's home. The first client starts telling you that, hey, I can't find my phone. My phone was in the house, I can't find it. Another tells you that, well, I had placed money somewhere. Now, these are things that you had not imagined, you had not thought about, but they actually turn out to be a problem for you. So you need to properly understand the kind of business that you're going to be diving into right before you start it. Now, of course, the easiest way of surviving all that is starting a business and something that you are trained. Most likely you've gone to university, you've studied, and you've been trained. So for example, someone like me, a doctor, I can start a medical business. I can start maybe a hospital, a medical center, something like that. If you're a pharmacist, you can probably start a pharmacy. If you're a teacher, you can start a school, but that also has its limitations, yeah? So I've seen it very, very commonly where you see a teacher deciding to go and start a school, and they're going to face the same exact problem that a home cleaning person who completely has no idea about the business decides to do. Same exact problem, yeah? You get up, you're like, whoa, I'll go and start a school because I know how to teach. It shouldn't be a problem. When you start the school, you actually notice that your biggest problem is never teaching. Your biggest problem is the fact that you're going to have 500 pupils, 500 kids who are aged between 5 and 10 years in your school who you need to take care of. They're going to be breaking stuff down. They're not going to be listening. Some parents are going to bring kids to school without school fees or tuition, and you're going to have to understand how to deal with that. They're going to be complaining to you that, well, the economy is really terrible. I don't know how to get money. Is it okay for my child to study for half the term and I'll bring the money halfway the term? You let them in halfway the term, they're not bringing the money, and then you have running costs. You need to feed the kids. You need to pay the teachers. Some of the teachers are missing classes. That's when you notice that, whoa, in the end, it's not all about teaching. It's actually a proper business, yeah? So you start a lot of things that you completely had no idea. So, I mean, the theoretical bit, the actual teaching bit is the easier bit, yeah? The running the business, getting the business to work is actually the harder thing. But in addition to that, you have the problem of competition, yeah? When a lot of people are trained in something, a lot of them imagine or feel like they can start it and run it. It's very common with, let's say, pharmacists. Someone, because they are trained in pharmacy and they are a pharmacist, they decide to start a pharmacy business, and before they know it, everyone who has started pharmacy is starting a pharmacy business, and there's so many pharmacies around, and just like that, the business is not relevant anymore. So you need to consider these small little intricacies. And besides that, you need to understand that stuff can be learned. So a lot of times, a lot of people will imagine that because they didn't train in something, they didn't go to school and they didn't study it, then they can become an expert at it. But no, that's not correct at all. I mean, there are so many different ways that things can be learned, yeah? You can train yourself, you can become skilled in a lot of different things, yeah? So you could decide, number one, to start attending seminars, you could decide to start attending a lot of trainings, you could decide to go to an actual school, I mean a virtual school, study an online course, learn as much as possible from an online course. Learn from places like YouTube, yeah? Just like this video over here, yeah? A lot of people are actually going to come up with great ideas of how to start a business simply by watching these YouTube videos. Maybe learn from others, learn from mentors. I mean, there's nothing better than learning from someone who has actually started a business, because they're going to give you practical, real stuff, not theoretical stuff, not stuff that is imaginary. They're going to give you proper experience. Those are places that you can learn from. But then don't get caught up in the trap of learning forever, yeah? That's a mistake a lot of people actually make, yeah? They think that they need to understand and master as much of it as possible, and what they end up usually doing is learning forever, and they end up not starting. No, you've got to reach a point where you're like, I've got something, I mean, I've got some knowledge, some principal knowledge that's enough for me to start. So understand where the point is for you to actually stop learning. I wouldn't say, well, really stop learning, but stop concentrating on learning and actually take the very first step to start the business. Take the very first step to start that venture that you're moving out on. If you're going to spend all your time learning, in the end, you're going to end up not starting. And a lot of things you're actually going to learn from experience. So yeah, understand that at some point you're going to have to, get in there, put your feet in and start the business. And when you do start the business, you've got to be patient. You've got to be patient. You've got to utilize the resources. Yeah, utilize the resources that you do have. When you're just starting out with business and you've just got an idea and you're starting out with a business, the most important thing that you can ever have is resourcefulness. Yeah, you need to be able to be creative, come up with ideas, come up with very many different ideas, and understand that you can't give up, because there are a lot of things that you don't have that a lot of other people have. I mean, you've got to utilize your competitive advantage. For me, for example, particularly when I started out earlier on, I mean, I decided to start learning graphic designing. This is when I was at the university. I was really broke, I wasn't making money, but I owned a laptop at a particular point. So I decided to start learning graphic designing. I mean, designing stuff. I always loved art. It was an interest I had, but I told myself I'm going to learn as much of the graphic designing as I can. Now, I started learning it, And at some point, of course, it wasn't bringing me any money, but I was diligent in putting in the time to get the skill. Now, for me, the resource I had at that time was time. Yeah. Now, currently, I don't have a resource called time for me to sit down and start watching videos on how to do graphic designing. If I hadn't gotten that skill then, most probably I would never ever get it for the rest of my life. Right now, another resource that I do have to replace this is called money. Yeah. So right now, I can utilize money to buy time by getting some people to do the work for me. But at that time, time is a resource that you have. Most likely, you don't have money, and the only thing that you can utilize at that time that a lot of people actually don't have is time. So I put in the time, try to get as good as possible. Now, at that time, it's very easy for you to think to yourself that, hey, I'm actually putting in too much work. Of course, in this case, it's time, or you're putting in too much money, or you're putting in too much effort, but you're not seeing any results, yeah? So, of course, in the end, everyone does want results. But you're putting in too much time, but there is no results for you. You're thinking, when the hell am I going to get results? What you need to understand is that you really need to focus and be patient with the input. Yeah, the input here is time and the hard work or whatever that you're putting in, and you're giving it time, you're waiting for the results. Yeah, it's going to show up at some point. Yeah, you just need to be diligent with the resource that you do have at that point. So for me, at that time, since I had the time, I put it in, learned as much as possible, and when the time reached for me, for example, to start a YouTube channel, I started a YouTube channel. Of course, at that point, I'd already started a farm. I had some little money coming in, but I didn't have the money, for example, to pay a YouTube editor. I didn't have the money to pay a graphic designer to come up with the thumbnails for me, to come up, with all this stuff that I can post on social media, on Facebook and all these things. I utilized the skills that I had learned very many years ago, maybe 7, 8, 9 years ago, to then help me. Yeah, so I started editing the YouTube videos myself. I started making great thumbnails myself. I mean, in the farming field, people are not making such great thumbnails. So I started doing all this myself, and it turned out to be a competitive advantage I had over a lot of people. Now, of course, I reached a particular point right now that I don't need to edit video myself. I still do a lot of the thumbnails myself because honestly, I do enjoy it. I do love to do it, but I don't need to do it. I can decide to not do it and give it to someone else to do it, and everything will be well. Everything will be okay. So take advantage of your competitive advantage and give it time. Yeah, give it time. Understand that you've got to develop skill. You've got to develop knowledge for you to outcompete others. Now the second thing is your passion and interests. Now this is a very crucial player when it does come to coming up with a great business that will work. But you've got to approach it with a pinch of salt because of two really important reasons. Yeah. The first reason is that your passion might not be relevant. Yeah. It might not be relevant based on your location or based on your circumstances. I'll give you a quick example. For me personally, from long ago, I had a lot of interest and passion in music. I was a person who loved music and I was really interested in music. But honestly, for me at that point, it is something that I don't think I could have pursued. Yeah. Now, it's not like you can't do music and become successful, but when I personally do weigh it, I feel like there is very, very few chances for me, making it big in music. For example, considering how big I have become in the business field, in the farming field, in the YouTube field, for me to become that big in the music field, I feel like number one, I should have had way more talent than I actually do have. Number two, the competition is way higher, way higher. I mean, there's so many more people who are doing that. And the other thing is that I felt like, it doesn't really fit my lifestyle. Yeah. Because people who do music, a lot of people who enjoy music and, make money from music, usually have to sacrifice a lot of time, especially at night, spending time out, going for all these gigs. I personally love live music and, playing the guitars and stuff like that. You have to go to bars, you have to go to a lot of live events, you're consistently traveling. That's not stuff I honestly enjoy. So I feel like it would have been so opposite or so far away from what I am comfortable with. So my passion, honestly, in this circumstance would never have worked. Yeah. So it's not like it's something wrong for you to have a passion and follow your passion, but understand that maybe sometimes your passion doesn't work. Maybe you're very passionate about video gaming, but in the place that you're in and in the country that you're in, honestly, it doesn't make sense for you to start a business doing video games because no one else gives a damn. Yeah, people are more interested in other things. People are struggling for survival. People are struggling for food. People are struggling to get basic stuff. And you're talking about video games. It might not be relevant in your circumstances. That's what you're passionate about. Now, the second thing is that passion is discovered. Yeah, a lot of times people don't understand or don't identify the fact that passion is actually something that's discovered. Personally, currently, I'm very passionate about farming, but I wasn't passionate about farming 5 years ago. No, completely. Yeah, I wanted to become a doctor. Well, at some point earlier on, I wanted to become a doctor. Then later on, I really didn't know what I want to become. All I knew is that I wanted to make money and become financially free. But I didn't think that I would ever be interested or passionate about farming. When I finally decided to start a farming business and it was bringing in money for me, I developed passion, because who the hell wouldn't be passionate about something that's bringing you money? Who? Tell me, yeah? So you need to understand that sometimes passion can be discovered, and if you're going to be lying on your passion and interests, you'll be surprised that your passion and interest is actually lying in places that you just haven't discovered. And all you need to do is try out very many different things for you to discover it. Now, in the end, passion and interest are very, very important in the long run. If you start a business and you're not passionate about it, well, that makes sense, because I started businesses and I wasn't passionate about them, but I later on developed passion for them. Now, passion and interest helps you sustain the business. It helps you, be around. It helps you manage and go through the test of time, because sometimes things will come in business which will, make you stumble. They'll make you hate what you're doing. But if you're passionate about it, if you're interested in it, sometimes you might be willing to work without profit. You might be willing to continue doing the things, serve those clients even without profit, because you're passionate about it. Honestly, you love it, and you could go on and do it for some time even without any money. And the times might turn around and business becomes well enough, and the only thing that kept you inside there is your passion and interest. So again, passion and interest are actually very, very crucial to your business success, but they are not very fundamental. They're not like something you should already have before you come up with a business idea. Discover the business idea, try it out, test it out. The passion might be developed while you're doing it. Now, the third factor, which plays a very huge role in the success of your business, is, your budget. Now, your budget is actually how much money you do have available to you. You'll be surprised how much this actually plays a competitive advantage compared to your competitors who might not have money. But the other thing that you need to understand is that sometimes, depending on how much money that you do have, you might not be able to start particular businesses, and you might be able to start other businesses. If you do have money, for example, don't go and try a business which is usually started by people who don't have money. If you do have a lot of money, for example, don't focus your money on starting a YouTube channel. Yeah? It is quite dumb, because in all honesty, a lot of people are going to be starting to create a YouTube channel, and a lot of people who actually don't have money, because for you to start a YouTube channel, your barrier to entry is very low in terms of money. You can start literally anything as long as you have something around and something you can talk up, and sometimes you don't even need to be able to come up with something really significant or something that makes sense. You can just come up with any nonsense, place it on YouTube, place it on TikTok, and you can start making money. So it has a very low barrier to entry. Now, if you do have money, it could actually offer you a competitive advantage. For example, if you do have money, then you could probably hire an editor. So if you hire an editor, then that means that you can put out more videos. So compared to someone who does not have any money, you already have an advantage, because whilst they might be the ones editing the videos themselves, and maybe they can put out 2 videos a week, you could be able to do a video each and every day, and that means you have a higher likelihood of your videos being seen and all that kind of stuff, and hence making more money. So those are the things that you need to consider. You could probably get a channel manager, because you do have money and you can hire people. So it increases your likelihood of success, but you need to be a bit more creative. Come up with great ideas, utilize your brain to utilize your money to place you in a position where a lot of other people in the business or your competitors might actually have difficulties. So maybe if you're doing manufacturing and you need raw materials, if you feel like you do have more money, then you might be able to buy raw materials at a cheaper price because you're buying in bulk. So you're utilizing your money to give you a competitive advantage. What that means that since you can buy in bulk at a cheaper price, in the end you might be able to sell at a bit of a cheaper price, so it gives you a competitive advantage. Or even if you don't sell at a cheaper price, you just have more margins and hence more money to keep in your pocket, simply because you're utilizing that advantage that you do have. So your budget plays a really huge role, and you need to think very, very critically about it. Yeah, if you do have money available to you, then go into things where capital is usually the biggest problem. I mean, for you to start that thing, capital is the biggest problem that people do have. And so since you have the money you can start, it already means that you've cut out a lot of competition, you've cut out a lot of people. Don't have too much money and go and start something that everyone can start with. The next thing that you need to pay keen attention to, and a very keen eye, literally you need to study this for you to be able to utilize it, yeah, is your competition. Yeah. Now, this gives you great insight into the business that you're going to start. If you do have competition, it's a good thing. It's not a bad thing to have competition. Yeah. You can learn from them, see the stuff that they're doing well and the stuff that they're not doing well, and utilize them. Now, competition gives you great insight in 3 different ways. Yeah. The first thing that you need to consider is that if there is no competition, then most likely you're in trouble. Yeah, most likely you're in trouble. Now, no competition could mean one of 2 things. Yeah, you have a great idea. Yeah, you have a great idea that no one has thought about, or so few people have thought about, but they have failed to find a way of implementing it, and so it could make you crazy amounts of money. Now, this is going to be the most unlikely of circumstances. Yeah, it's not like people don't have great ideas, but what you need to understand is that most probably the things that you're thinking about have been thought about so many times before. Yeah, it's very rare that people come up with new stuff. Now, the other thing that you might be surprised about is that what you consider a great idea for you as an entrepreneur or producer is literally just another way of doing the same thing to the customer, you know, your customer. So what you need to sit down and think about whenever you come up with an idea is that, well, it's a great idea, but what does my client think about it? Yeah, what does my customer think about it? For example, you might come up with a new genre of music. Yeah, you might come up with a new genre of music. For example, you want to compete in the, you know, the music field, and you come up with this new, vibrant, beautiful genre of music. You're thinking, whoa, this is something different. I haven't had anyone play it. This is not something I've had a lot of people do. And you're thinking, whoa, I think I have a great idea. I'm going to put it outside there, and since no one is doing it, I'm sure everyone is going to jump at it. But what you're not thinking about is that your competition, actually, what they'll think about it is, this is just another type of music. Yeah, it's just an alternative. I mean, if I do want to enjoy some music, this is an option that I can listen to. So it's nothing life-changing. To your competition, it's just another way of them enjoying music. To you, it's a life-changing, great thing. So that's what you need to think about. Yeah, so most likely it's not a great idea. It's probably another way of doing the same thing, and you just don't think about it that way. So you need to think about it that way. But well, in the end, it could be a great idea that's going to make you money. Now, the other reason you could have no competition is because most likely it's not a viable option. Yeah, so it's not viable. What that means is that, I mean, it's not practical in your area. Yeah, practicality. Or it's a failing option. Those are the 2 alternatives. Yeah, so in terms of practicality, a lot of people have thought about it, they have tried it, but in your area it just doesn't make sense. You'll keep trying it and it just doesn't work. For example, for me in my country, in Uganda, it doesn't make sense for someone to do a vending machine. Yeah, you might think, whoa, I mean, this is stuff I'm seeing in a lot of places. It's a great idea, I could do it over here, but over here you place a vending machine, people will carry the vending machine. They won't even just carry the things that are inside. They carry the machine itself. And that's if you're really lucky that it spends the very first day without breaking down, because people don't know how to use it. Yeah, so the practicality of it might not be the reason that it's not viable, or maybe it's part of a failing business. Yeah, a failing type of business. For example, CDs. If someone wakes up today and they're like, I don't see anyone selling CDs on the streets, how come no one is selling CDs? I mean, I think this is a great idea, I'm going to start selling CDs. No, it's failing business. I mean, people are streaming music on Spotify, on Apple Play, and all that kind of stuff. How then are you thinking about CDs? Yeah, you don't have competition, but trust me, it's only going to get worse. So that's one way of thinking about it. Secondly, the other way that you can look at your competition is to literally assess. Yeah, assess your competition for value. Yeah, so 2 things, value and price. Ideally, it's value for money. Yeah, so you're going to be thinking to yourself, can I actually offer something better? Can I offer something that's good, or something better compared to what this person is providing at the same price, or maybe at a higher price, but greater value. Yeah, that's the advantage of competition. So you need to sit down and think to yourself, how is your business idea, how is whatever you're providing going to offer more value? How is it going to offer, probably a better price? Even if it's more expensive, how is it going to offer more value for the price that you're offering to the market? Yeah, if there is an advantage that you're adding, then most probably it's a viable business, one that's going to work for you. If there is no added value in terms of price and actual value, then most likely it's a failing business. And then finally, number 3 about the competition, and I mean a lot of people make mistakes about this because they never consider it, yeah, is your competition actually making money? Yeah, making money. Yeah, you need to inquire into that. Are they making money? You'll be surprised that you might have competition, but they're actually not making money. Probably it's a business that's a failing business. I mean, a lot of people have been present, and the market is so saturated, people are not making money. They're literally struggling to just survive around, and making money is really, really tough. It's probably going to be a failing business that's going to start losing money, but you just didn't realize it, you just didn't notice it. So are they actually making money? You need to make sure that you find out, because you could join and you're joining a failing business. You're not going to be making any money because everyone who is around in it isn't making money. And then finally, the final point is understanding the market. Now, there are 4 components about understanding market that we're going to be looking about. First of all, does it solve a problem? Yeah. So there's a problem in your community, or whoever your target market group is. It might not be your community, it could be an online community, it doesn't really matter. But is there a problem to be solved? Yeah. If there's no problem to be solved, then most probably it's not viable. Yeah. A lot of times people think about businesses in terms of what they love to do, what their passions are. Yeah. And they forget to think about the business from the eyes of the final consumer, from the eyes of the client. Don't think about a business about what you can offer. No. Think about the business about what other people need. Yeah. So if there's a problem to be solved, then most probably it's going to be a viable business. Again, like I've said right from the beginning, a lot of these components intertwine with each other. Yeah. Now that's number 1. Number 2, is there a demand for it? Yeah. Now, of course, this does sound crazy, because you think to yourself, if there's a problem that it's solving, then certainly there is demand for it. But you'll be surprised that there could be a problem, a clear-cut problem that you 100% know needs to be solved, but there's completely no demand for it. For example, if you're in an area that's, let's say, a poverty-stricken country, yeah, properly poverty-stricken, and over there they have a problem of trash, waste disposal, there's trash everywhere, you certainly do identify that trash is a problem that they need to solve. But those guys actually have bigger priorities than discarding trash. Yeah. The bigger priorities and the bigger issues they have are things like food. Yeah. They have issues with getting food, putting on clothing, drinking water. Those are bigger issues for you. So despite the fact that there's a trash problem, there's completely no demand for your service that will solve the trash problem. What you're going to be solving is their food problem. Yeah. So if you can solve their food problem in a way that they can afford, then you're going to, have demand. And also there's a problem. But there's a trash problem, there are bigger priorities, there's completely no demand for that kind of service wherever they are working. So you need to also consider that. Yeah. You need to be certain that there's actually demand in whatever you're doing. Now, the third bit of it is that, is it scalable? Yeah. If you want to make crazy amounts of money, if you really want to make money when it does come to business, whatever you're doing needs to be scalable. Yeah. It's not enough that you do have demand. I've shared this multiple times, but a while back I wanted to start dog breeding business, and I do love dogs. I personally do love dogs, and I got some dogs, and I thought to myself, well, the margins are actually quite crazy when it does come to dogs. Yeah, how much you put in and how much you sell, really crazy. But the scalability just wasn't there. Yeah, there's no way I was going to start selling 100 dogs a week. It's impossible. Yeah. If I get the business really big and I start properly breeding them, I get multiple trainers and all that stuff, and I have a lot of puppies and all that stuff, who's going to be buying my dogs? How do I sell 100 dogs a week? Is that even possible? Yeah, it's 100% not possible. So it's not a properly scalable business, despite the fact that there's a problem, there's some form of demand. The scalability, no, that just doesn't make sense. And then finally, when it does come to market, is understanding the trends. Yeah. So whatever the business is that you're jumping in, you need to understand whether it's an improving, a business that's gaining demand and expanding, or a business that's contracting. Again, like the example we talked about earlier of CDs, music CDs. There could be demand in the area that you're in, but you need to remember that it's something that's getting worse. So whilst you might be in business today, you might not be in business 2 years from now. You might not be in business next year. You might not be in business, in the next few months. So you want to consider that whatever you're dealing in is not something that's just going to become obsolete and invalid in the next month or the next 2 years. You want to concentrate your effort and time and dedication in stuff that's going to be present for a really long time. It will expand and serve the need of many people for very many years. Now, I've also made a video on really important tips about how to out-earn everyone, how to out-earn other people. I'll leave a link to that video, right here. You can check it out. It's a great video if you've enjoyed this video. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button, smash the notification bell. Catch you very soon with another video. Lots of love. Bye-bye.